Welcome to Utah, the Mormon state. Wait, no. The Beehive state. Beehive state? That's kind of weird. Anyway, after Arizona, the very first place I stopped in Utah was a small town called Kanab. Kanab is a really cute small town. Pretty scenery, nice roads and buildings. I guess Kanab has a history of being a filming location for movies and westerns. Lots of plaques like this around town.
Every day ends with a Tom's Festival.
I was super hungry and decided to eat at one of the local restaurants. Houston's Trail's End looked good to me. I like the cowboy western feeling here. You don't really get this where I'm from. It's nice to be somewhere different. I ordered their ranch burger, which, after a week of eating cheap food in my van, was just so good. Kanab is really nice, but I didn't come here to stay in the town itself. There's a few things nearby I wanted to see. While I was in the area, I wanted to stop by the coral pink sand dunes. I don't know about coral pink. Maybe the color is more spectacular as the sun is rising or setting, but it was a good time. There was this very short trail you could follow with plaques detailing the dunes and the plant life that inhabits it. Little info dumps like this are always interesting and fun to me. It's like being on a field trip. Turns out you can go dune buggying here, and they also rent out sandboards. You can rent one that you sit on, or one that you strap into like a snowboard. It was a little trial and error. If you try to do S-turns like with a snowboard, you'll just get buried in sand. It's sinking. And the straps aren't very comfortable.
Snow doesn't act this way.
But eventually I got the hang of it. You pretty much just have to go straight down and try to keep your balance. Kind of painful, honestly, but it was unique and fun. I would recommend the boards you just sit on.
So this was unexpected. I knew I wanted to do snowboarding or something like that on my trip, and I thought of like sand boarding or whatever you would even call this. But when I was coming out to this place, I thought I would just take some pictures and video and just leave. I really didn't even know you could rent sandboards and do this sort of thing out here, so I didn't expect to spend so long out here, and it was a lot of fun. Let me tell you though, walking in sand sucks. Walking uphill in sand sucks like 10 times as much. I'm so tired.
After the dunes, I turned the wrong way on the road and managed to get stuck trying to U-turn. Thankfully, not even 5 minutes later, somebody in a pickup truck drove by, saw me stuck, and helped to pull me back on the road. The guy who stopped to help's name was Josh. Thanks, Josh. After visiting the dunes and showering, I stopped by a local no-kill animal shelter called Best Friends that I read about online. I got there only 30 minutes before they closed, so I spent what little time I had exploring the area. The surrounding area is actually really pretty and scenic. There were a lot of plaques like this in the area that were informative or funny. Some were actually pretty sad. I really wanted to see Marshall's Piggy Paradise, but the gate was closed. At least I got to see one pig. And that was the small amount of time I was able to spend here at Best Friends before they closed. I wish I had gotten there earlier, so I could have seen more of the facility and animals, maybe done a tour or volunteer. So, I came back and did just that. I scheduled a tour and to volunteer for half a day. I chose to do the pig and goat tour, and it was a ton of fun. Can't say I've spent that much time around goats, but they're funny little animals, and they were pretty friendly too.
I don't know where to pet a goat.
After the goats, though, it was time for the piggies. They had a bunch of pot-bellied pigs.
We had one we walked on a leash. We can do a different one every day. Listen to that.
Why not?
Listen to that.
Hello.
Pigs are funny. They had a nice pig glue, which I liked.
That you'll never see it again, or they'll keep on until they've destroyed it, or all of the above. Yeah. And
it's fun for them.
it is.
Great fun.
If you have anything in the back of the pickup, if they can read.
A pig's life seems very hard.
He's like, it's too early. Crash landing.
We briefly got to see some horses too.
Beautiful horses.
And even more pigs.
Just get.
The tour was really fun, and I still had my volunteer time coming up. There were a bunch of different places you could volunteer. I chose the cat world. While volunteering, there were a number of things they needed help with. Preparing food, cleaning, for example. But luckily I got to spend the whole time socializing and playing with the cats.
It's my toy. That's my toy.
This cat in particular was really playful and social.
This cat is eating my camera.
This poor cat has a disease called cerebellar hypoplasia. It causes the cerebellum to not fully develop. Cats with it have very poor motor skills and trouble walking around or even just holding their head steady. It's kind of cute at first, but it's sad watching the cats lose their balance and knock their bodies or head into stuff. Poor things. After a bit, I moved to another room with even more cats. Some were shy, but a lot were eager for attention. This is Steve.
What?
Come on. Lots of cats. So many cats that need a home. I had a great time playing with them, but it does make me sad. Just makes me wish I could help them all. I'm glad Best Friends is not a kill shelter. Next, as I started to make my way north, I drove through Zion National Park. I've heard about Zion many times, but never been. At first, I wasn't really impressed. Wait, is Zion really just a kinda neat canyon that you drive through? Eventually, though, I reached a parking lot for a museum and shuttle station. And to my surprise, the museum had the first view at Zion that actually wowed me. I found a map, chose a hike or two, and got on a shuttle to take me to one of the many stops along the canyon. At this point I realized I was at the actual park now, and what I saw earlier was just the section leading up to it. This part of Zion was much more impressive. There's even windows in the ceilings of the shuttles because the surrounding cliffs are so tall. I got off at the stop for my first hike, and had some trouble finding the start of the trail. But I'm kinda glad I wandered around a bit, because I randomly found this group of wild turkeys. And as I was watching the turkeys, a random pair of deer wandered up too. It was cool that I accidentally stumbled into some wildlife. Eventually I did find the trailhead I was looking for. I did the hike to the Emerald Pools, lower, middle, and upper. The trail itself was pretty cool, especially around these big boulders where it gets really narrow. The lower pools takes you to this little area with a pair of waterfalls. I almost slipped and fell a few times because the path was really muddy and wet. The middle pool wasn't really noteworthy, just some water between the lower and upper. The upper pool was cool though, a really tall waterfall. Very pretty area. After the Emerald Pools, I decided to do one of the hikes listed as strenuous. I hiked to Scout's Lookout. This was easily my favorite part of my time at Zion. The hike zigzags up the cliffs and climbs around 1,000 feet in total, so it's a lot of uphill movement. Definitely wasn't a cakewalk, but the views are fantastic. Finally at the top, the view was nice, but I honestly liked the views along the way more. Scary how high you are though. You could go a little further to a point called Angel's Landing, but apparently you need a permit ahead of time. Looked potentially fun, but a little sketchy, so I was content with what I had done. I was absolutely dead after this hike. Zion was a great experience. With Zion out of the way, I finally left Kanab and headed north towards Salt Lake City. The first thing I did once there was visit the Loveland Living Planet Aquarium. I only had around an hour to walk around before they closed, but I saw a lot in that time.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Aquariums are always a good time. You just walk around looking at different fishes and all kinds of cool tanks and environments. A lot of things are pretty creepy though. What would you say is your favorite tank or display at an aquarium? The shark tank? Maybe the more colorful fish? Maybe the reptiles? For me, it's gotta be the jellyfish. There's something just relaxing and entrancing about them. As I was on my way out, I stumbled by the penguins, which I was surprised they had. And that was my day at the aquarium.
Spooky, scary skeleton.
My next stop in Salt Lake City was Temple Square. There's this wall around the square, which was strange to me, but once I got around it, the square is neat. The main church-looking building is actually the assembly hall, I guess. The interior is nice. I always like the design of organs in church buildings. Aside from the assembly hall, there was also the tabernacle building right next to it, which had an even bigger organ. I'm not Mormon, but Temple Square is really pretty, and the history of the area is really interesting to me. The last thing I did in Salt Lake City, and in Utah, was visit the state capitol building. Originally, I thought I would just walk around and take some pictures of the outside, but there was actually more to do both inside and out than I thought. I had a lot of fun just reading the information on the plaques and statues. The history detailed is pretty interesting to me. After walking around the grounds for a bit, I went inside the Capitol. They had a bunch of cool displays. I learned there that the reason Utah is the beehive state is because the original Utahns considered beehives to be symbols of industry and perseverance. I like little bits of trivia like that. It was fun spotting all the places with beehive imagery. They were pretty much everywhere. Going back outside, I found a few more statues and memorials. I really enjoyed the Capitol building. I plan on visiting more in other states if I'm near them. Well, that was Utah. I honestly had a lot more fun there than I imagined. I'll be heading north next to Wyoming, another state I've never been to. Yellowstone, here I come. Oh, also I ate at this place called Chunga's in Salt Lake City, mainly because I thought the name was funny. Had a spicy chicken quesadilla. It was good.